Is it possible that one of the best pilots in history and one of the most iconic teams in Formula One are failing in their first year together? What has come out so badly? Today we unravel the truth behind the dramatic start of the season of Lewis Hamilton with Ferrari. The signing of Lewis Hamilton by Ferrari was, without a doubt, the most shocking movement of the pilot market in years. The news toured the world of motor racing as a giant wave. The seven-time world champion abandoning his home more than a decade, Mercedes, to join Maranello, a team with a glorious history but irregular results in the hybrid era. With a contract valued at £50 million per year, the alliance promised an era of successes. For many, it was the last epic chapter in the career of a legendary pilot. But that promise has begun to crumble faster than any fan or analyst could anticipate. 5 big prizes later, the results speak for themselves. Hamilton has accumulated only 33 points and is located in the 7th position of the championship. Not only is it far behind the leader, Lando Norris, but also of his own teammate, Charles Leclerc, who has managed to extract better results from the same car. His best performance has been a 5th place in Bahrain. To this are added disappointing results: 7th positions in Japan and Saudi Arabia, an 8th in Miami and a 10th in Australia. The only brilliant moment came in China, where he achieved pole and won the sprint race, but was disqualified from the main race for excessive wear on the flat background. Beyond the numbers, the perception that Hamilton leaves after every weekend is that of a frustrated figure, which still does not find its place inside Ferrari. The interviews after each race have become an awkward exercise. His face shows resignation, his words transmit confusion, and even analysts like Martin Brundle have defined it as very difficult to see. What should be the rebirth of a champion in a new environment is becoming a progressive disenchantment experience. Far from being the spearhead of the team, Hamilton looks like a gear out of place. But the problem is not exclusive to the British pilot. Ferrari, as a team, has also had a start well below that expected. With only 1 podium courtesy of Leclerc in Saudi Arabia, the team is in the 4th position of the Constructors' Championship. In the last Grand Prix in Miami, the situation played background. Both Ferrari ended up fighting for minor points against a team like Williams, which until recently was considered part of the grill bottom. It is a painful symbol of the place that now occupies Scuderia in the current competitive order. To this disappointment is added the overwhelming advance of McLaren. In the last 4 races, the average difference in classification between the SF-25 and the MCL-39 has been more than 0.3 per lap. The Woking car has achieved an evolution of 1,359 seconds with respect to the previous model, while Ferrari only improved 0.857 seconds in the same period. This technical difference has placed McLaren, not only as leader of the championship, but as the new reference in consistency, strategy, and development. What we see, then, is not simply a lack of adaptation of Hamilton or a specific Ferrari problem. It is a convergence of unreal expectations, structural failures in the team, wrong technical decisions, and an increasingly competitive environment. The great promise for now is broken. The question is whether there is still time to recompose it. From the outside, the SF-25 looked like a polished machine, ready to compete at the highest level. Its design promised a balance between straight speed and curved passage, with a special approach to aerodynamic efficiency. But as soon as the season began, that facade crumbled. Ferrari had opted for an evolution of his previous car, seeking to correct errors without compromising the base of the performance that approached them to the title in 2024. However, what they found on the track was an unpredictable, unstable, and sensitive car to the smallest configuration changes. And this, in Formula One, is a recipe for disaster. The main problem of SF-25 is not where many initially thought. Although aerodynamics were pointed out as the great obstacle, engineers in Maranello have identified a deeper origin: the rear suspension. The pull rod configuration implemented this year, together with a lighter flat background, suffers a worrying lack of structural rigidity. This has drastically limited setup's possibilities. It is not simply a difficult car to pilot, but a chassis that does not allow to maintain a constant body height or a stable aerodynamic load during curve. This deficiency has forced the team to compromise the configurations in each race weekend. Engineers fail to find a stable performance window, which means that car behavior changes even with minimal variations in temperature, fuel level, or types of tires. The SF-25 becomes a nervous car, which punishes the pilot in each attempt to take it to the limit. The aerodynamic rebound reappeared in several circuits, especially in high-speed curves, and the rear load loss has caused the car to skies when leaving curve, severely affecting the times by return. This situation has been especially hard for Hamilton, which needs a solid platform to apply its piloting style based on late braking and progressive accelerations. On the other hand, he has had to modify his approach to adapt to a car that responds erratically. Each classification session becomes a lottery and each career stint in a patience test. The SF-25 is not only technically lower than its main rivals, but it is also emotionally unfortunate for those who must compete with it every Sunday. Ferrari has tried to apply quick solutions, but so far none has been expected. The suspension adjustments, the updates in the flat background, and the changes in the tire management have been palliative rather than real solutions. There is talk in the paddock of a structural review for the second third of the season, but that implies time, resources, and the possibility of sacrificing short-term performance. In a championship where McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes do not give truce, every lost race is a blow that accumulates. The SF-25 should be the machine that would mark Ferrari's return to the top, the car that would allow Lewis Hamilton to fight for his 8th world title. Instead, it has become the symbol of collective frustration. A machine that does not obey, which even betrays those who understand it better. And while engineers look for answers in Maranello, the rivals continue to add points, building an advantage that could become irreversible. When it was announced that Lewis Hamilton would join Ferrari, many thought that his experience, his ability to adapt, and his leadership within the box would be enough to quickly integrate into the new environment. However, what has shown the 2025 season so far is that even the biggest champions need time to understand a new machine, a new team, and a new work philosophy. Unlike Mercedes, where Hamilton was the center of the entire operation, in Ferrari it has been found in a system already built around Charles Leclerc, with dynamics and methodologies that are completely alien to him. One of the biggest challenges for Hamilton has been to adapt its driving style to SF-25. Unlike Mercedes, which responded well to aggressive entries in curve and late braking, the Ferrari demands a softer and more progressive driving. Leclerc, with years of experience in the team, has learned to release the accelerator before, to stop more subtle and maintain a constant speed at the apex of the curves. Hamilton, meanwhile, has had to unlearn many of its usual techniques and start practically from scratch, a frustrating process for someone who has dominated the category for so long. The situation is aggravated with the constant pressure that runs to Ferrari. In Maranello there is no room for excuses. The Italian press is relentless, tifosi demand immediate results, and the direct comparison with Leclerc does not give truce. Each error, every bad decision, each race without podium is analyzed in detail. Instead of an environment that allows you to grow and adapt calmly, Hamilton is under a permanent magnifying glass. The anxiety to demonstrate results has even led to strategic mistakes or to demand SUUP changes that have ended up damaging their performance even more. The frustration of the British pilot is evident every time you get off the car. It is no longer just about fighting his rivals on the track, but against a growing feeling that the challenge he assumed could have been bigger than he imagined. In Australia, for example, he was caught behind Alex Albon during much of the race due to a team strategy error. In other tests, it has been visibly uncomfortable with the car responses, even declaring that if the rest of the season remains the same, it will be painful. Words that reflect not only physical tiredness but emotional wear. In this context, attempts to recover are conditioned by the need for immediate results. Ferrari is not a team that can afford prolonged adaptation seasons, and Hamilton knows. That is why every race weekend you live with tension. Each failed classification, each lost stint, every point that escapes is one more stone on the road. And although Hamilton's talent and experience are still intact, the environment is not helping to emerge with the necessary consistency. What should be an explosive alliance is now in uncertain terrain, and the question that many are asked is whether they will both have patience and enough margin to reverse this complicated beginning. Despite the gloomy panorama, in Maranello they have not surrendered. Ferrari's technical team is working to counter-relage in a deep review of the SF-25, especially in the rear suspension and in the management of the car height, with the aim of stabilizing its aerodynamic behavior. The solution will not be immediate, but new pieces are already planned for the second third of the championship that, if they work, could allow the team to recover part of the lost terrain. Work is not only technical, it is also psychological. Recovering the confidence of the pilots, especially from Hamilton, is crucial to unlock the true potential of the car and the team. Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, is also making adjustments. Despite his initial frustration, his attitude has been that of someone who does not give anything lost. In the last races it has begun to better understand how the car reacts in different phases of the track, and in circuits such as China there were already indications that symbiosis with the SF-25 can arrive. His victory in the sprint classification from pole was a powerful signal, even if he was later disqualified from the main race. That type of moments, although brief, can be key to rebuilding a season. Hamilton is still an elite pilot, and if Ferrari manages to offer him a more stable tool, he is able to turn the situation around. The environment has also begun to change slightly. While McLaren and Mercedes continue to push the front, Red Bull has begun to show cracks, both technical and internal. This opens a window of opportunity for teams such as Ferrari, which could capitalize on any error of their rivals if they manage to recover consistency. In such a long season with more than 20 major awards still ahead, any substantial improvement in the car could translate into an important comeback in the classification of both pilots and builders. The key is that these improvements arrive on time. The question that is around the paddock is not whether Hamilton has what is necessary to succeed in Ferrari, but if Ferrari will be able to provide what he needs before it is too late. The alliance between one of the most successful pilots in history and the most legendary team of Formula One still has the potential to write a glorious story, but the clock does not stop. Nothing has come out as expected. Neither the car has been up to it, nor Hamilton has managed to adapt how quickly he imagined, and the competition has not taken respite. However, not everything is lost. What we are witnessing is the gestation of a much deeper battle than a simple struggle for points. It is a fight against technical limitations, against trial errors, against external pressure, and, above all, against their own expectations. In that context, every small step forward charges immense value. Each improvement in the car, every return well executed by Hamilton, each race in which Ferrari manages to avoid chaos, represents a stone placed on the road to recovery. There is something powerful to see a champion face adversity. Hamilton is not fighting only for victories, but for demonstrating that his talent remains intact, that his decision to change airs was not a whim, but an act of faith. And Ferrari, in the midst of his internal turbulence, must demonstrate that he is still able to build more than memories, that he can build a competitive present. This season still has chapters for writing, and some of them can change the course of what today looks like a disappointment. We may not see a world title in this first year, but what Hamilton and Ferrari are played is much more than that. The right not to be remembered for a difficult beginning, but by the way they decided to respond. The story is still open, and in Formula One that is always an opportunity.